I'll just get this out of the way now. This isn't so much a challenge run as it is a typical modded playthrough. The only mod running here is the new Vegas door randomizer, and apart from the necessary mods required for it to run, that's about it. This is an anything goes playthrough. The only thing I had to do was go with the first faction I found that didn't hate me once I found the appropriate room to do so, minus the Legion of course. Following the game as logically as I can isn't going to happen. This is less about the challenge of beating the game and more about the chaos of the experience brought on by the mod. That's really it. All good stories begin with you waking up after being shot in the face. I did my best to make my character vaguely resemble Shaggy from Scooby-Doo and performed the time-honored tradition of robbing Doc Mitchell blind right in front of him. Since this is just a standard run with doors all over the place, we don't need anything in particular as far as special stats goes. Agility was at 8, Perception, Endurance, and Intelligence at 7, Strength and Charisma at 4, and my Luck at level 3. My tag skills were Guns, Medicine, and Speech, with my traits being Claustrophobia and Hoarder. If you were wondering why I chose that first one since there's a lot of indoor areas in Vegas, I don't know. Doc gave me some toys for the road, I got blinded by the sun, went to the general store, and realized that I didn't load the mod correctly, troubleshooted the mod off camera to get it to work properly, and decided to obscure all door destinations. After saying my hello and goodbye to Victor, I said my hello and goodbye to Victor, and upon trying to go into Good Spring Saloon, I got teleported to Nellis. I'm honestly surprised the boomers didn't try to shoot me on sight. While wandering around the fancy playroom, I took their stuff, and my next door took me to a Night Stalker den. After dying, I ran back in with a grenade launcher to take them with me, played Bring Around the Rosie, then cut off their butts and took their blood, blasted a boomer, left Nellis, and ended up in Zion Canyon. I swam in a cave which also took me to Big MT. I can only hope that if you're watching this, you're a fan of Old World Blues, because you're going to be seeing it a lot. I looked for doors in between picking up the seemingly endless Magnum rounds, and one door took me to the trading spot the Silver Rush meet the Legion in. Found myself in Freeside, murdered Mickey Mouse in broad daylight, and found myself in Bitter Springs, which allowed me to borrow the NCR stuff with the promise to not bring it back later. Spoke with the locals, woke up someone who told me to f*** off, took my ass westward, and leveled up, dumping points into speech and lockpick while taking Swift Learner. Further west, I found my first Cazador, and won after throwing literally every single thing I had at it. The game must have thought I was a really good player, so it threw a Deathclaw at me not too long afterwards. I also made the mistake of quick saving while some were starting to chase me, so I ran for my goddamn life while jamming every stim pack I had into my arm to avoid being torn into confetti. The nearby door told me to go f*** myself, as it turned out to be the Enclave Remnant's bunker, and it was there that I learned that Deathclaws can go through doors. After escaping south and finding myself at Camp Galt, I found several tents and therefore several new doors, one of which put me in a mantis-filled cave, which, if memory served me right, was part of Vault 22. Another tent put me in the hotel room, and another back in Zion. I'll be brief of any mentions of Zion because the vast majority of its areas are outdoors and there aren't that many doors to open. That being said, Daniel did ask me this.
How did you get in here?
I'm wondering the same thing too, Daniel. Explored the canyon and went lizard hunting, made sure I was on very hard, landed in the NCR Sharecropper Farms, and then Helios 1. I extorted the smartest man in Vegas, went to Camp McCarran, and then Vault 21. I'm embarrassed to say that I spent an ungodly amount of time looking for a usable door in the vault. I went back to McCarran and landed in the Sharecropper Farms again. One more door took me to Lonesome Road, specifically Tunneler Hell. They did not like the fact that I was there. Picked the lock to get into the Brotherhood bunker, Paladin Ramos tried to kill me, so I shot his gun out of his hands and stabbed him to death in self-defense. Took the can of beans he calls armor and then went to Crimson Caravan, the Vegas Medical Clinic, and then Big MT again. I teleported to someone's house to escape a Cazador, stabbed old lady Gibson's dog, and then found myself at Ashton Missile Silo. At level 3, I bumped up lockpick and guns and tried to launch the nukes for fun. Sadly, it wouldn't let me, which triggered the wrath of the marked men. Just a reminder, Lonesome Road recommends that you be at level 25 at the very least before you even think of trying it. Level 3 isn't that far away from 25, but is probably not the most ideal level to be at. Anyway, the marked men ate me for breakfast. I had a pistol and they had shoulder-mounted LMGs. My grenades were doing a whole load of nothing to them as well. What made things worse was my first death loop by running into this guy, Bonesaw. With imitation Leggett armor and a chainsaw in hand, he chased me around before I exploded. I tried to focus fire on him before the other marked men closed in, but it wasn't working. Realizing I was well and truly screwed, I tried to go back the way I came, but the door was locked. I kept trying to run away towards open paths, but either stepped on a landmine or got turned into fondue meat. I eventually escaped into a highway which, by sheer coincidence, was also Deathclaw territory. Good news, Bonesaw got torn to shreds. Bad news, I now have to deal with Deathclaws. I tried to deal damage with no success at all, but I managed to get Bonesaw's loot, which was nice. One of the Deathclaws had no clip turned on and I kept falling off the damn bridge, and around here was where I learned about the problem solver. The problem solver is an item included with the mod that's permanently in your inventory because I think the mod dev realized that the game can probably break really easily by nature of how this mod works in general. What the item does is keep track of the previous room you were in. Use the item and it teleports you back to that room, no strings attached. The intention is to prevent soft locks, but believe me when I say that this method, while it works, is not foolproof. But that's for later. Moving on, after teleporting to the garage once populated by dog, I went back to Big MT to die, fled to the Mojave, hunted Brahmin, went northeast, hunted again, found a shack, and went to prison. I figured since I needed to kill the powder gangers one way or another at some point, I pulled out a machete and got busy. I parkoured out of jail after committing my atrocities, beelined for the Yangtze Memorial, blew up a rad scorpion, followed by a coyote, found this hole, landed in Good Springs, and unlocked a door that took me to Novak. The hotel has some doors that we can use, one of which took me right back to the Divide, so I turned around instantly and then landed in this interrogation room containing a man called Silius. Okay, easy XP, just talk to the guy and leave.
I must admit that a conversation with an imbecile may be far worse than the kind of torture I was anticipating.
I stabbed him in the head until nothing happened, went back to Novak, and then realized all of my weapons were gone. Isn't that great? I mean, this is NCR territory. They probably considered it a tax for messing up the interrogation or something. 188 Trading Post happened to be nearby, and since this is an anything goes type of run, I decided to take Veronica with me as I wouldn't be entirely useless with her by my side. Bought a gun, and went to the NCR quarry that was conveniently inside Victor's house. Later in Boulder City, the bar took me to Nipton, and another door in Boulder City put me at the dam. That led me to a few corpses, and this tower led me to holy shit, I found the cops. I gave the front desk my guns and wasted no time going straight to Benny. After making an attempt to cut him up into playing cards, the chairman finished me off. The second attempt had me knock Benny onto the floor, but also ended in failure when he took me out and shot me 5 times in the ass. As I continued to prove why bringing a knife to a gunfight is a horrible idea, Benny soon died, I robbed him blind, and started murdering everyone in the casino for the EXP. As I wander through Big MT now, let me explain something. If this were any other video, this would be the part where I talk about what my plans are for how the rest of the run is going to go. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. It's not like hoarding vault weapons or going into diabetic shock with lasers. I can make all the plans I want, but nothing is going to happen until I find where I want to be or a place I can proceed. Now, yeah, I can easily just turn on a quest and follow the markers to where I need to be, but that kind of defeats the point of the randomizer. Because even with all the rooms scrambled, the game can still tell me exactly where to go to get to where I need to be. This would essentially make the randomizer pointless because, yeah, it's random, but the game knows where to go and nothing stops me from pinning a quest as a placeholder so I follow the predetermined path. What's the purpose of a randomizer if you know where you're going to go before you even get there? Imagine doing a Pokemon randomizer and you knew exactly what Pokemon the first gym leader was going to have because it still adhered to types based on the gym. It's not really a randomizer anymore now, is it? Later on, I soon found myself in the Ultra Lux and tried to destroy everyone inside, but failed to consider the fact that the white gloves can take a shocking amount of bullets from people in suits and dresses, coupled with the fact that my ammo was already fairly limited. I fought fire with fire and tried to hold them off with a dress cane, but that didn't work. I stole all the drinks instead and went to the sewers for rats and ghouls. I got jump scared by a rat and got introduced to Master Splinter. Later in Boulder City, I let the NCR out of the clutches of the cons and the cons let my soul out of the clutches of my body. Blinked to nowhere, did some shopping at the Gunrunners, went to Freeside only to get surprised by Lonesome Road for the 5th time. Turns out the CN Crimson Caravan stands for corn. Found Vault 19, then Gibson Scrapyard again. Went to go melt in the desert and Veronica was kind enough to offer herself as a human shield against the Vipers. I got food poisoning and what happens in the gas station bathroom stays in Vegas. Mr. Crocker gave me an F, and Volpe spoke his final words before I caved in his face with a shotgun. McCarran took me to the Boomers, then the Farms, then Walmart Garden Center 22. Later in the Sierra Madre, I was unable to kill any of the ghost people properly, and they were wasting my ammo. Luckily, I didn't have any bomb collar on me to annoy me. After fighting through ghoul hell, I found a door that took me to the Vegas sewers, then Coyote Mines, and some more ghouls, which meant I was near Camp Searchlight. This stray Legion moron got what he deserved as Malcolm Holmes climbed out of the dumpster I previously left him in, but he got scared off before he talked to me. Novak, Doctor, Nowhere, Corn, Bathroom, my lobotomite turned me into cold cuts, started to realize how much the iron sights on the cowboy repeater suck ass, got the best axe, which is great because I needed to harvest some more corn. Oliver Swanwick tried to seduce me, Legion assassins started to spawn, but I kindly negotiated a trade of bullets for money. Continued the Ultralux massacre, and locked doors were really starting to annoy me. That's another thing I want to bring up. Locked doors exist, which can't be accessed unless you're under certain conditions, or have the appropriate key, or can't access them at all. Especially when some doors may require you to go through them to get to a certain area to actually finish the game. I'm not foreshadowing anything, you are. The El Rey Motel led me to this one room I didn't recognize at first. I wandered around a bit before it hit me. This is the section of Vault 21 that's meant to serve as Benny's escape tunnel in the tops. That's another thing to mention. Areas you aren't actually meant to see, let alone walk around in the vast majority of cases, are also in play here, since they may also have functioning doors. At level 10, I took the Commando perk, Mojave Outpost took me to McCarran, then to Vegas, then to Big MT. Cazadors are as annoying as they tend to be. Specimen 73 in particular was getting annoying, but the spirit of Dale Gribble gave me the strength to wipe out the last of the bugs. Meanwhile, in the Sierra Madre, I found a decent amount of loot and stumbled upon Christine. After giving her a good look through Veronica's head, the two looked at each other for 5 seconds, I gave Christine Benny's swag and a gun, teleported to Zion, and decided to bring Fowler's chalk with me because why the f not? Sadly, that turned out to be a mistake because he would not shut up. It was also slowly dawning on me how few doors Honest Hearts actually has. Powderganger, Gecko Party, and the Mojave. Then I got gassed and nearly had a damn heart attack thinking I was gonna lose all my stuff again. Thankfully didn't, and landed somewhere near Jacobstown, and then the game froze after trying to leave the Ultralux. This was followed up by the game going into a freezing fit and refusing to load whatsoever. I eventually managed to get it to take a concerningly long time to load properly, and then re-entered the Ultralux to go to town. Got rapid reload at level 12, a trauma harness sicked his puppies on me and exploded into gore despite being a skeleton, continued the bloodbath at the Ultralux, corn poisoning, found Prim, found that room full of rats people keep getting locked inside of, Camp Forlorn Hope led me to some other chunk of NCR territory, then the Pens for the Thorn, which was the easiest EXP I have ever gotten in my whole life. Landed in the tops, then the Bison Steve, gave Christine some beer, and then found another problem. There's certain parts of Lonesome Road that automatically trigger dialogue conversations with Ed E. There's just one problem. We have a tribal, a mute, and a woman who likes punching things. None of these are Ed E, so the game doesn't know what to do besides send tunnelers after me. I reloaded a save to go back the way I came, finding Gabe the dog, who, much like the average German Shepherd owned by the average American, is trained to eat me alive and explode on death. I had the bright idea to try and find the laser detonator in the divide somewhere because it occurred to me that exploding nuclear warheads might reveal doors. That's why we did all that testing during the Cold War. We had to find more doors. That's what Wikipedia tells me. I maxed out my lockpick, stole a bunch of irradiated snacks from Searchlight, went through a door that surprised me with being underwater, regrouped at the tops, and enraged the NCR by trying to get on their monorail. Dead Sea had a tragic accident where he ended up in front of me. There was a crowd of boomers at the monorail station, and I think the NPCs are starting to freak out and not know where they are. Found the Fiends, a giant rat, free caps, ant hunting, level 14, here and now, sniping with a 44 Magnum, cow tipping, mild inconvenience again, major inconvenience, the game froze, looted a room, the game crashed, shot another Fiend, the game crashed, shot up the gunrunners, then paid for their hospital bills. The NCR Rangers were getting to the point of starting to annoy me, found enough beans to make me set for life, the Nelson, the Madre, the one door I'm able to enter needs a f***ing key, Paradise, the Legion, backflipped the guy, got to level 16, tagged Science for unknown reasons, and I lied, we didn't pick off the last of the Legion. If it seems like I'm skipping over a lot of things, I know. This sentence is the 7th recording of 15. I can only repeat myself so much, and this script is already, 15 minutes based on what I've got in Audacity? And that's before trimming things down in the editor. I got the sniper kill of a lifetime, shot a small child in plain view of NCR, someone had a pet tumbleweed, and New Vegas did the opposite to function properly again. By this point, I was losing hope to find anything resembling a path to proceed. My player model was a little messed up, the ghouls in Camp Searchlight exist, I found God in a dark basement, entered Hoover Dam, entered Prim, shot up the Vicky and Vance. Prim Slim took lasers like a champ, dude did not want to go down. I landed in Nipton, wiped out the Legion there, and made the most terrible decision of my life. When I started this playthrough earlier this year, my brother told me something. To paraphrase what he said, imagine if you go into Good Springs and immediately land at the end of Lonesome Road. So there's this one door in Good Springs. I'm sure you know where this is going. We're gonna fight Ulysses with the Dream Team. Christine, Veronica, Close Shot, and Easy Pete, apparently. I unloaded damn near everything I had on hand and then died to a robot. I pulled out my Proton X to take care of those while pumping Ulysses full of lead whenever possible while the companions focused on him. In between throwing grenades at the marked men that broke in, I tried to shoot weapons out of his hands and then he fell to his death before I died. I decided early on that he needed to die from combat, not gravity, as the companions had a tendency to shove him towards cliffs. That's not fair. Besides, he has good loot. I can't let that go to waste. I also got this weird audio glitch and I had to kill myself to stop it. I like to think that this was Ulysses telling me to fight fair. AP rounds seemed to work well until they didn't. The marked men were getting on my nerves as my companions got knocked out since more fire got focused on me. To be truthful, there's zero reason for me to do this. This fight is a pain in the butt without the randomizer, let alone with 3 companions that shouldn't even be here to begin with. At one point I was the only one alive and needed to focus on the marked men since they take giant bites out of my health. Close combat wasn't in the equation since they tend to explode into a puddle of goop. At one point I knocked out the last one and died immediately, to which I said screw it and started the fight all over from the beginning instead. I let Ulysses come to me and focused fire on the others. Spamming discount Bane with explosives while keeping distance to allow breathing room became the strat. I soon gave up on this strat and just started pulling out anything and everything with no regard to practical purpose. If my memory serves correctly, I hit him with a Ripper at one point. We eventually managed to gang up on him, push into a corner, and calmly beat him to death. I picked up whatever wasn't stuck to the ground, blew up, did it again, and nuked the Legion on my way out. I got a nice look of the inside of my companions' heads while the endgame narration played. Now, at this point, I had once planned to make this a 2-parter. Picking up off of where we left from here, I would have kept doing that if it were not for what happened next. After getting my ears talked off, I got blinked back to the Divide entrance with one problem. The controls stopped working. I tried to turn them back on with console commands to no success, tried to console command my way back to Good Springs, but that didn't fix the problem either. I reloaded to save since I didn't really have much of a choice in the matter, only to find out that after the missile launches, you're not allowed to open the Pip-Boy, and one of my most recent saves was after the missile was launched. So I decided to make an executive decision. Since the problem solver would have taken me back to Good Springs anyway, there's no harm in using console commands to take myself back to the town, as that's what the problem solver would have done anyway, just on a more specific level when it comes to the particular door. Wandered around Spudgrings for loot, the gas station on the hill had no value to me, beat up a couple Deathclaws, tried to convince Arcade Gannon to tag along but it didn't work, went to Novak, bought supplies, went to the cons, went to Zion, Vault 34 had all of the ghouls and none of the doors, but I picked a bunch of locks for EXP. I don't even know if I had a plan anymore at this point. Black Mountain, Lake Clerks, Night Person, blew up Mortimer, then most of the Ultra Lux. I bought some stuff from the bartender, then killed her, and then hit Gunderson. I found myself at the bottom of Hoover Dam. I didn't even know this was a section you could even get to, let alone see, and I've been playing this game for years. Killed off the Powder Gangers in Vault 19, then the game froze. Powder Gangers round 2, left the vault for the tops, and at this point I was pretty much shooting anything and anyone that happened to be in my line of sight. I landed in Vault 3 to continue this streak. Traded a bunch of Legion and NCR money back at the tops before killing the banker. There's a Sierra Madre in my gas leak, Night-Kid in the basement, Vault 3 Part 2, a wild Julie Farkas appeared, and later in the Divide, I fell asleep taking notes during this recording, and the last sentence I wrote was, "And trust me, I'd love to go back to finishing the toddler Camaro of it." I did some sniping at Big MT, once again entered an area you're never meant to actually see. This is a section in the Repcon basement that has this tunnel that seems like it has a very short draw distance. There's also this arrangement of white shapes directly above a manhole at the end. Back in the Thorn, I found Courier's Mile, which is where every single irradiated monster in America came to say hello. I'm at level 21 and everything here is too much to handle for me. The automatic rocket launcher I had on hand was about as effective as throwing rocks. Christine actually ran away from the fight, if you'd believe that. I also forgot marked men can open doors, so that was nice. The game crashed when I tried to load a building at Big MT. I sent Petey to Piranha to hell. Once again in Zion, I avenged Roadrunner, found a hut I didn't recognize in the Mojave, and good lord, let me tell you, when I walked inside, I shit my pants. I wasted no time turning everyone in Caesar's tent into mush. I entered Freeside and into Maker Ralph's when I realized something. The nameplates stopped working. I found a food store, got drugged by Elijah, but now I can kill ghost people, which is nice. Some NCR doctor landed at the Divide, I ate some trash, started getting genuinely mad finding the sharecropper farms, and found some really mean robots in some warehouse. I have no idea where I was, but I'm positive it was Big MT again. Fell out of a dino's mouth to my death, took drugs, drank, looted the NCR, saved the game, spoke to Daddy Khan, traded smokes for money. I bought pre-war money for a reason I genuinely cannot even begin to explain, train tunnels, more of the friggin' madre, robbed a house, thought I could get to a new area from Nellis, but couldn't, and started shooting Follows Chuck in the face anytime he had the nerve to open his mouth.
Buildings and give away all their money just to watch someone.
Hoover Dam, then Nowhere, then Camp Golf, then the Divide. I feel like I'm going nuts. After shooting another one of Follows Chuck's teeth out, I felt like I was living in Groundhog Day with the amount of places I've already been. The hatch at Cottonwood Cove is the closest I have ever gotten to being within any distance of Mr. House by this point. Take a wild guess as to what the game did. The NCR supply depot got me good stuff and a shitload of caps. Broke down and reassembled ammo, found some locked up drip. The TOPS chairman came back to life somehow, and at this point, I gave up. If I kept going any longer, this video would not end. I put on a quest marker and decided to do Yes Man to get it over with. I told them I didn't care about anyone else, went back to Prim, only to find out that my one path to house was in Prim the entire time. I was killing house anyway, so I opened fire on everyone inside and the Proton Axe took care of the Securitrons. Got to level 25, exploded house, and didn't even bother looting the Lucky 38. I just wanted the game to be over. At this point, I'm just following to where I need to go to finish the game as soon as possible. I murdered a man in broad daylight, hacked Mr. House, Christine's bald-ass head took up the entire screen, sat through Yes Man's PowerPoint, and went to Cottonwood Cove to shoot up what was left of the fort. I got a pretty sweet Vats kill that knocked a dude's head off mid-power attack. I opened fire on everyone that came to the front gates and sniped out the rest. I also forgot that Camp Golf exists. NCR Rangers were shockingly more irritating than the Legion due to the large caliber guns they carry. At some point, I ended up killing someone inside the dam, but I can't be bothered to mention it in the script. Who gives a shit at this point? Veronica got lost. I teleported outside of Nellis to do the introduction properly. I got taken to Pearl and ignored them, but the almighty Todd had other plans. I ended up in Vault 34. Okay, whatever, no problem. There's no door I can use here. I went back the way I came, and the only other door is locked. Me, man. You know what this means? The game soft-locked me. I got soft-locked again, and I can't even use the problem solver here because it's just gonna put me back in Vault 34. To add salt to the wound, my last save was when I started this particular recording, so as you can tell, I'm pretty peachy about this. I declared that if cheating was required to continue, I didn't care, I already gave up. I forced the door to unlock, and that took me to the Big MT boss battle room against the X-42 giant Robo-Scorpion. I dumped damn near every AP-308 round I had and found myself back outside the dam before choosing to teleport back to Prim. I talked to Yes Man back in the Lucky 38, ignored the NCR president getting shot, and was told to find El Dorado substation, which pointed me towards Hoover Dam. After shattering the hopes and dreams of everyone on top of the dam, I made a realization that this run was doomed from the moment it started. Near the Legion side of the dam, there's this one hut that's controlled by NCR. Outside of the battle for the dam, both doors are inaccessible. However, it's not these doors that we are concerned with. It's what's on the roof of said hut. There's a sniper's nest up there with a hatch that you can enter, but the room you're required to go into cannot be accessed unless you have started the second battle for the dam. Technically speaking, in my current state, I can't start the end of the game unless I've already started the end of the game. Which brings me back to the question asked by this video. Can I beat Fallout New Vegas if every door is random? In theory, yes, but the stars need to align. It is very much possible because it's highly doubtful that however this mod calculates the randomness of door placement is going to result in a broken path every single time. There's no way of knowing where everything leads without having the nameplates turned on or without going there in the first place. Unless you cheap out and turn on the quest markers, there's no way of knowing where something leads until you get to it in an ideal case. There's sections of this game you're never meant to actually see, let alone walk around, and there's sections of this game that cannot be accessed until you reach specific milestones, which can cause paths to break. This can result in a playthrough that, without cheating, can become unwinnable by complete accident, and by the time you find out, you run the risk of being too far along in the playthrough to do anything about it, depending on what you did or what saves you have lying around. I had a few emergency saves in case something corrupted or broke, but reloading the game to redo my steps feels cheap. Even if I did, House is dead, the NCR hates me, the Legion hates me, not that I'm gonna do anything with them again anyway. How far back would I have to go to actually be able to finish the game, and what's the guarantee of me being able to actually do so on another path? For all I know, those paths are broken too. As a final executive decision, I no-clipped to the nest and went inside the substation. I made one last visit to the gunrunners to buy as much ammo as I could physically carry, along with 2-step goodbye and some reloading supplies. I told Follows Chalk to piss off and started the Battle of Hoover Dam. I took a door to Cottonwood Cove, and upon trying to fast travel to Nipton, I made one final horrific discovery. When doing the battle for the dam, you're not allowed to fast travel. Okay, whatever, it's the end game, that's fine, but this doesn't apply to Hoover Dam. This applies to the entire map. So I started walking all the way back to where I needed to be. Once finally inside the dam proper, I plugged Yes Man into place and got to work. I exploded a guy and dropped dead. My next reload put me against heavy troopers, and I got what was probably the hardest VATS kill I have ever gotten in my entire time playing this game. I soon blew up one of the generators, waddled back to the battle only to need to no-clip myself back onto the dam. I kept shooting everything in sight right up until the game froze again. Got something resembling a death loop until a stealth boy and AP round saved the day, no-clipped through a broken door, sniped out the dog waiting at the gate, and once inside the Legate's tent, I pulled out a 50 cal and finished the job. I got sight of the Legate and started dumping bullet after bullet into his ugly face. Once he was down, I picked up his sword to pick off the ground troops, sniped out the last sniper, and it was time to face General Oliver. And much like everyone else before him, it was time to go out the violent way. He killed me instantly. I popped the turbo and went behind a wall, pulled out a hive missile, landed one shot right on Oliver and company, killing him instantly, and Yes Man rolled to come talk to me mid-explosion. Christine kept taking up space, the credits rolled, and I could not beat Fallout New Vegas while every door was random. Thank you for watching, leave your thoughts down below and subscribe for future videos. If you want to see my previous challenge runs, check out the playlist linked on screen. I'm Mr. Max, see you next time.